What is up guys, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a while, but I've been sorting some really cool stuff out. Some of it's YouTube related and I'm going to announce that later, and some of it's personal, and I can go through at the end of the video if you want to know what I've been up to. Anyway, I'm back, and with the rank reset just around the corner, the first thing I want to do is look at the best ways to win your placement games. Okay, so if season 4 was your first league season, then you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, so this is a really quick overview of the reset. Basically, everyone's hidden elo or rating gets recalculated. You then get put back to unranked and have to play 10 placement games to get assigned a new league. Who you'll be playing against and with depends on where you were before. In reality, you're basically going to be playing with the same people just below and also above you where you were before the reset happened. Now after 10 games you'll be placed into a new league, probably lower than where you were before, and then the grind starts again to climb back up. The really important thing is that these 10 games carry a really big plus or minus to your MMR or your matchmaking rating, so they will have more of an impact on your rating than any of your games afterwards. Alright, so that's how it works. Now this is how you win them. I've been playing since season 1, I've done placements like 3 or 4 times, and these are all things that I do to increase my chances of winning them. So first off, what should you play? Well, you can play the OP stuff at the moment if you're good with them, but in general, you want to play your best champions. Don't mess around with counters, good matchups, just play what you are comfortable on and aim to win your lane. For placements, you should really be able to play 2 or 3 roles and at least 2 champions in each of those roles. This is going to give your team enough flexibility to put everyone in roles that they can play well, and if your main role is taken, you still have other options where you'll be having an impact in the game. It may not apply to you, but remember that a lot of players got to their rank last season by only playing 1 or 2 champions, and they're going to want to win these placement games, so they'll want to play those champions. Having a good champion pool means you don't start to lose a game already from champion select. Right, so second is knowing your win conditions, and I'm going to do a video on this whole thing properly in detail because there's a lot of it, but to sum it up, it's knowing what you need to do or how you win the game with the champion you're playing. So for example, if I'm playing Vayne, I know I can just sit back and farm and I'll be strong mid to late game anyway. I just have to make sure I don't lose my lane, and when I have my blade, I know I can fight the enemy AD. Now if we say I'm playing Caitlyn, it changes. I need to win my lane, I need to punish the enemy AD, because if I don't, they'll be stronger than me in the mid game. When I have a lead, I should just group, push towers, take objectives, and abuse that lead over the enemy AD. Now this is something that you should just take 2 minutes to figure out before you start playing. How am I going to win this game with this champion? What is good for me to happen and what is bad for me to happen? Sometimes these aren't always really obvious, so if you are actually struggling, feel free to tweet me, Facebook message me, or comment on this video and I'll give you an idea of where you should start with that champion. Now in my opinion, this next one is the most important, and that's Dragon. Now the Dragon changed a lot in season 5, but the part we're thinking about now is the 5th time you take it. It's just so important. If you're winning, it's an easy win with the 5th Dragon buff, and if you're losing but can steal or take dragons, then it's an easy comeback. In all the games I've played in the preseason, I don't think I've ever seen a team with 5 dragons lose a fight. The buff is just ridiculous. So if you're ever stuck on what you should do next, if the enemy is sitting in their base wave clearing, then you can just keep taking dragons and eventually you're going to win the game anyway. Now this next one is a little different, and this is something I personally do all the time, and it's more about mind games. Now you have no idea what elo your lane opponent was last season, and they have no idea what elo you were either. I always spend the first 5 minutes of a lane watching them, just watching what they do, and that gives me a good idea of how good they are. So if they trade really well, they CS really well, then it probably means they were higher than you or around your level last season, and you might not want to take as many risks. If they don't trade well though, they take dumb fights, say CS badly, then they were probably lower than you, and that's when I make sure I go aggressive and really show them I'm the better player. Now these games are different to your others, that's what you have to understand. You aren't necessarily against someone of equal skill, so you respect the good players but you punish the bad ones. Now this last thing is a little bit cheesy, I will admit that, but it's to remember that it's a team game in Champion Select. Like, you have to win with the team you're given. If someone is a one-trick pony who can only play one champion, then it's probably better to give them that champion and stand the best chance of winning. If you can play multiple roles to a good level, then try to accommodate your teammates and let them have their roles. Now this really only applies if you can play multiple roles. You still want to be playing your best, and if you can only play 2 roles and one of them is taken, then just say nicely that you can only play that role left and you're terrible in the others. So that wraps up my tips for your placement games, and as far as I'm aware, the reset should be early this week, so good luck, and make sure you let me know how you do on Twitter, Facebook, and I guess you can even knock on my door and tell me if you can find me. For those wondering why I did have that break, I've got a really big announcement to make in the next week, but I'm also going to law school later this year, so I had to kind of sort both of those out at the same time. I'm back now though, and I'm streaming as well, so thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time.